abducted and probably taken off planet that night. And not only our team, but I think multiple campers from that lakeside campsite were probably taken too. Because it was not only Dan's car battery that seemed to be having trouble, at least his car, but the camp hostess who we'd been talking with told us that there were numerous campers that had reported battery failures from that same night.
Oh, wow. Now, hey, Troy, we're going to take a 2-minute break. I'm going to put you on hold, so don't hang up. But I have to do a couple little things here. We'll be back, people, in 2. So we'll find out more what happened here at around Mount Adams and what happened to Troy, what's been going on with him since then. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes, people.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Well, we had Troy Bacon on here talking about some strange things that happened around Mount Adams. Maybe they were visited by aliens. Maybe some of them were abducted. Certainly a lot of strange things went on that night that you really can't account what happened. I do know that the next morning, Michael on his wrist, Troy, are you still back here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, he had some puncture marks on his wrist, if I remember right.
He did, and it really wasn't until the day of, I believe, August 29th, after he left the lake, that he actually noticed those puncture marks on his wrist, which were in the shape of a triangle. They looked like 3 needle marks, which I can actually comment on in a little bit. So he took a photograph of that and then showed the team at the next meeting about 5 days later.
Well, what do you think it was? This speculation.
Okay. Hold on to your seat. So it wasn't until the next UFOI team meeting at Denny's that I had sat in front of Michael. Our team psychic Nikki was right next to me. She picks up on a lot of things. And Michael was going to basically interview me on Facebook Live or broadcast that day about what I had seen and things that had gone on at the lake. And Nikki told me that she suddenly got a hit that I had gone up, or that we had gone up, more accurately. And she told me after Michael and I were done talking. So it was after that that I started thinking about what could have happened. I had never had extraterrestrial contact, at least not directly like that, before in my life. But it was a few days after that initial comment that Nikki made, and just the idea that I could have gone up, that I'd been thinking. I was sitting in my backyard. It was warm and sunny. I was meditating and just thinking about what could have happened, and basically asking my subconscious mind to give me any images or memories that it could of what may have happened, if anything. So what I did see that day in a fairly deep state of relaxed meditation was a very clear vision or image in my mind of a metallic instrument. I saw it up close. I think it's much smaller in person, but I saw it up close in my mind. Think of probably something about the size of an electric toothbrush, but without a toothbrush head, and something along those lines with 3 prongs on the end of it, and those prongs are tipped with needles. And when I saw that image, I kind of got startled and then opened my eyes, but then went back into it and got more clarity about what it was. And when I started to reconnect with that, it wasn't just a memory. I think it was actually a real telepathic connection with that device, that when I connected with it, it actually sent an electrical shock into my body, cold electrical shock. And I hadn't had that exact sensation from a meditation experience before, but I believe that that is the instrument that was used to inject Michael's wrist, where those 3 puncture marks were. From my understanding, he was injected with nanite, probably for enhancement. That's what I've gathered so far.
Well, something is really strange because, when I had Michael on the show and I was, talking to him about, what happened that night, it's one thing. It was really, I don't know if you heard that night, the show I had him on, but I asked him, I said, do you have a compass? And he went and got a compass. And I said, okay, do me a favor, Michael. Can you put this compass near your wrist, your left wrist? And all of a sudden, it started going crazy. And I said, okay, put it on your opposite wrist. Nothing would happen. I said, okay, Michael, put it back on that wrist again where those puncture marks were, and the compass was responding. And then I said, okay, well, if I remember right, you were wearing boots. Were they steel-toed, boots? And the same thing happened. The left boot, if I remember right, his compass went kind of crazy. On the right side, it was normal, the right shoe. It's telling me something happened to you guys, evidently, that night. That maybe you were abducted. Maybe you guys might even be implanted right now. I had Timothy Cullen on, which was number 13 implant removal from Dr. Roger Lear. And I tell you that, a lot of these encounters involve implants.
Yeah, a lot of them do. I have never seen marks or bumps or odd things on or in my body. I have no evidence or suspicion so far that I have a physical implant in me. But that is interesting about Michael's wrist and the compass. I hadn't heard that story before. However, at one of the UFOI team meetings after the incident, Michael brought his boots, his steel-toed boots that he was wearing at the lake, and a compass. And we got this on video. I believe it's on the UFOI team Facebook page. And it's a video of Michael holding a little compass up to each of his steel-toed boots. And if I recall correctly, actually both of them were emitting an electronic or magnetic frequency. Maybe one more than the other, but I think both of them were charged.
That is so interesting, too, because, like Timothy Cullen, he didn't even know he was implanted. It showed up because he got in a car accident. He went to the doctor. The doctor started doing x-rays and all this stuff. He had nothing in his wrist, no bumps, no feeling of anything. And all of a sudden, the doctor comes up to Timothy and says, well, you got a piece of metal in your arm, but we don't see any puncture marks. Do you know how it would have got there? That got Timothy Cullen really concerned, where he went out and sought Dr. Roger Lear, because that day, him and his wife were going to town. They saw off of a hillside a UFO, just kind of like stopped right there, and they were looking at it. And, again, we don't know how long he was looking at it, him and his wife, because of maybe loss of time. But then, when Dr. Roger Lear went in, ran a bunch of tests first. And definitely there was something in his arm. No puncture marks, no scarring, no nothing to, account how it got there. And Dr. Roger Lear agreed to go in and surgically remove it. And when he went into it, they found this thing encased into membranes, a slimy, hard, membrane. And when they took it out, which was hard to do, to remove it, they opened up all this weird stuff that was surrounding that implant, or that whatever that was. And it was a metal object, maybe like a size of a grain of rice. Well, Dr. Roger Lear sent that into the labs to be tested, and it was made with silver and some other type of compound that is not from Earth. They couldn't figure out how it got, formulated, the material, how the silver and this other compound could not have been made on this planet. And that is really scary. Again, he didn't feel it on his wrist. He didn't even know it was there to the x-ray. So, you don't know. You could be walking around and you could be implanted. So, some of these weird things that's been going on to you since then could all be related. Just a thought. I'll
take that with a grain of salt. It's always possible, but as far as I know, I don't have anything physical in me.
Well, he didn't think he did either. That's the whole point. All he remembered is he saw a UFO. I think they were stopped by a set of train tracks or whatever it was on the road. And, they spotted this UFO off to the right. And that's all he remembered. And then, again, He gets in a car accident a couple weeks later, and then all of a sudden, here's this metal in his arm. It shouldn't have been there.